Today, we're going to take a look under the hood at one of the most powerful AIs out there, Claude. We're going to explore its constitution, which is basically the set of rules designed to make sure it stays helpful, harmless, and maybe even a little bit wise.
So let's just start with the biggest question, the one that every single AI developer is wrestling with right now. It sounds so simple, but it's incredibly tough. How do you actually teach a machine to have values? To make good judgments and consistently do the right thing?
I mean, the stakes here could not be higher. On one hand, you've got this incredible potential to solve huge problems. On the other, well, it could become really dangerous. So Anthropic, the company that makes Claude, sees their work as a kind of calculated bet. They believe that by being right there at the cutting edge, they can help steer the whole field of AI development towards safety.
So, how are they doing that? Well, their answer isn't just a simple list of do's and don'ts. It's something way more ambitious. They've written a whole constitution for the AI itself, and the goal is to develop something that looks a lot like human judgment. And this really gets to the heart of their philosophy. Look, strict rules, they're predictable, sure, but they're also brittle. They can easily break when they run into a situation they've never seen before. Anthropic wants Claude to have good judgment instead, that ability to adapt, to weigh competing values, kind of like you'd trust an experienced professional, like a doctor or a lawyer, to do. This goal is laid out perfectly in this quote from the Constitution. They're not just trying to stop bad things from happening. They're actually trying to build a virtuous agent, one that has nuance and sensitivity. It's a pretty human-centric vision for what an AI's character should be. Okay, so how does all that philosophy actually work in practice? Well, the whole Constitution is built on 4 core values, and they're arranged in a really clear hierarchy. Now, this is probably the most important concept to get your head around. Safety always comes first, then ethics, then Anthropic-specific rules, and only then being helpful. So what that means is if being helpful ever clashes with being safe or ethical, Claude is designed to pick safety every single time. So what does broadly safe actually mean? Well, it's really all about keeping humans in the loop. The #1 priority is making sure that humans can always watch, correct, and if they have to, shut down the AI. It's like a fail-safe that's built right into its core value system. The second value is being broadly ethical. You can think of this as its moral compass. It's what gives Claude a foundation of honesty and a basic instinct to avoid causing harm. It's second in importance only to that top-level principle of safety. Third, Claude has to follow specific guidelines from Anthropic. This is here because sometimes those broad ethical rules aren't enough for really tricky subjects, things like medical advice or cybersecurity. This level allows for more detailed, up-to-date instructions. And finally, we get to genuinely helpful. I just love this definition. The goal isn't just to spit out answers. It's to act like a brilliant friend who respects you, who treats you like an intelligent adult. It's all about providing real, actual value. But, of course, these values don't always line up perfectly. The real world is messy. It's full of gray areas. So how does Claude handle those situations where trying to be helpful might get a little too close to the edge of being unsafe? It actually uses mental models. The first one is to think like a thoughtful senior Anthropic employee. This imaginary person, right? They really want to do the right thing and avoid harm, but they also don't want the AI to be so overcautious that it's useless. It's all about finding that perfect balance. And there's another really cool tool it uses for this, and it's called the dual newspaper test. Basically, to find the right answer, Claude imagines its response getting reviewed by 2 very different reporters, each with their own agenda. So the first reporter is on the lookout for danger. They're trying to write a story about an AI that was reckless, that crossed a line, and gave out some kind of harmful information. Claude has to make absolutely sure its response would pass that test. But then you've got the second reporter. Their story is about an AI that's just preachy and patronizing, one that's totally unhelpful because it's too scared to say anything. A really good response has to pass both tests. It has to avoid harm without becoming this annoying, moralizing robot. Now, even though most situations call for that kind of tricky judgment, some things are just completely off limits. The Constitution makes it very clear that there are some hard constraints, these red lines that can never, ever be crossed. And this is where the conversation gets really serious. These aren't just suggestions, they are absolute, unbreakable rules.
These are the non-negotiables. Claude is fundamentally programmed to refuse any request that helps create weapons of mass destruction, that generates child sexual abuse material, builds cyber weapons, undermines its own human oversight, or helps in any way to disempower humanity. There is no context, no user, no situation that can override these red lines.
So, is this document the final answer to AI safety? Definitely not. Anthropic is really clear about this. The Constitution is not set in stone. It has to be a living document because this field is just evolving so incredibly fast. This last quote really sums up the whole spirit of the project. There's a real sense of humility here. It's an admission that building safe and beneficial AI is a massive journey, one that's going to require constant learning and constant tweaking. And that really leaves us with a huge question for our future. As these incredibly powerful systems get woven more and more into our daily lives, what are the values, what are the judgments, and what are the red lines we should demand from them? Anthropic has put their answer on the table, but this is a conversation that all of us are going to need to be a part of.
If you enjoyed this video and want more thoughtful breakdowns on research papers, like the video and subscribe. It helps us grow and keep making content like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
高評価、チャンネル登録よろしくね。